Jerusalem Post reported this morning that when the military did that extraction mission of those two F-15E pilots who were downed over Iran, they refused to allow Donald Trump in the Situation Room because Donald Trump's behavior was so erratic and so impulsive that they thought it would result in our troops getting killed.
So MeidasTouch just exposed something extraordinary. Military generals physically barred Trump from the Situation Room during active combat operations. This is unprecedented in American history. When your own military leadership considers you too dangerous for wartime decisions, we're in constitutional crisis territory. Let's break down what this reveals.
We're seeing that this morning as well, as Donald Trump is once again threatening to blow up Iranian bridges and infrastructure and other civilian areas if Iran does not accept Donald Trump's terms. And as our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski says, 2 days after Donald Trump made 13 celebratory posts in an hour claiming that Iran surrendered to all of his demands and the war is over to manipulate the market on Friday, he's back threatening to blow up power plants and bridges.
Targeting civilian infrastructure like bridges and power plants violates Geneva Convention Article 54. It's literally a war crime. Trump's Friday market manipulation through false surrender claims, then Monday bombing threats, shows classic pump and dump psychology applied to geopolitics. The pattern is both illegal and deeply disturbing.
So the Strait of Hormuz fully closed, and then Iran rejected all of Donald Trump's claims that Iran fully surrendered and they would give up all of their uranium and allow the United States to control the Strait of Hormuz, and that they would no longer fund their various proxy groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis. And then so Donald Trump now, as we're approaching this next week, says it's going to be bridge and destroy bridge and destroy hospital and destroy civilian infrastructure day if Iran doesn't make a deal.
The Strait of Hormuz carries 30% of global seaborne oil, $3.4 billion daily. Iran would never surrender territorial waters they've controlled for millennia. Bombing hospitals violates the Hague Convention's core principle of civilian protection. This isn't negotiation strategy. It's international law vandalism.
They also claim that J.D. Vance will not be part of this delegation. J.D. Vance is now being sidelined by Donald Trump, although lots of Trump cabinet members who went on morning shows this morning claimed J.D. Vance was going to be showing up with Witkoff and Kushner, but Trump saying that J.D. Vance is not going to go for security reasons, which again makes very little sense.
When cabinet secretaries contradict the president on live TV about VP attendance, that signals complete administrative breakdown. Historically, VPs attend major diplomatic missions. Nixon sent Agnew, Reagan sent Bush. Excluding Vance suggests either security incompetence or internal power struggles during international crisis.
So here's what Donald Trump posted early this morning. Let me just read some of it for you. It's completely deranged. And again, it's more of the threatening the bridges and the infrastructure, and I'm going to kill you if you don't negotiate with me, which is not the way to negotiate.
Basic diplomatic theory shows public threats poison private negotiations. Kissinger's shuttle diplomacy succeeded through discreet channels, not social media ultimatums. When you broadcast negotiate or die messages, you eliminate face-saving exits that make compromise possible. This approach guarantees diplomatic failure.
Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement, exclamation point. Many of them were aimed at a friendship and a freighter from the United Kingdom. That wasn't nice, was it? My representatives are going to Islamabad, Pakistan. They will be there tomorrow evening for negotiations. Iran recently announced they were closing the strait, which is strange because our blockade has already closed it. They're helping us without even knowing it, and they're the ones that lose with the closed passage, $500 million a day.
No ceasefire exists. That's fabrication. The strait closure costs $500 million daily, but affects global supply chains worth $3.4 billion. Trump's casual, wasn't nice, was it? Tone about potential military casualties reveals dangerous detachment from warfare's human cost. This isn't presidential communication.
And I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant, every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. They'll come down fast. They'll come down easy. And if they don't take the deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done, which should have been done to Iran by other presidents for the last 47 years. It's time for the Iran killing machine to end. Donald J. Trump.
Destroying power plants kills hospital patients on life support, shuts down water treatment, collapses food distribution. The 1977 Geneva Protocols explicitly forbid targeting civilian infrastructure. Calling mass civilian casualties an honor reveals genuinely sociopathic thinking about human suffering and death.
And Donald Trump's bluster and bravado right here is also belied by the fact that military generals don't even want him in the Situation Room anymore, and we see him running around panicking like the loser that he is. Donald Trump's been calling different media outlets to serve as his stenographer yet again this morning. He called Jonathan Karl of ABC, and he said, based on Secret Service issues, J.D. Vance is not going to be able to join Witkoff and Kushner, which is fascinating because Donald Trump's energy secretary, Chris Wright, was on the morning show saying J.D. Vance was going to be in this delegation. These people have zero organization. They don't know what they're doing.
The contradiction is stark. Publicly threatening genocide while privately being excluded from military decisions. Trump's media calls to ABC and others show panic damage control. When cabinet members publicly contradict the president during international crises, allies lose confidence in American leadership reliability.
Meanwhile, Iran's like, we ain't attending. We're not going as long as you continue to threaten us this way. That's not how we negotiate. So no, Iran says they're not sending its negotiators while this blockade of the Persian Gulf remains in place.
Maritime blockades constitute acts of war under international law since the 1856 Declaration of Paris. No sovereign nation negotiates under military coercion. It's why the Cuban Missile Crisis nearly triggered nuclear war. Iran's refusal to attend talks under blockade is actually the rational response.
The United States' so-called blockade of Iran's ports or coastline is not only a violation of Pakistan's mediated ceasefire, but it's also both unlawful and criminal. Moreover, by deliberately inflicting collective punishment on the Iranian population, it amounts to war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Geneva Convention Article 33 explicitly prohibits collective punishment of civilian populations. The International Criminal Court prosecuted collective punishment in Yugoslavia and Rwanda. Violating Pakistan's mediation also destroys America's relationship with our key regional ally and nuclear power.
Donald Trump lies about everything. Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Commander General Saeed Musavi says that during the pause in hostilities, our speed in upgrading and refilling missiles and drone launch platforms is even higher than before the war. We have information that the enemy, referring to the United States and Israel in this context, is unable to create such conditions for itself and is forced to bring in munitions drip by drip from the other side of the world.
Iran built domestic weapons manufacturing after the Iran-Iraq War specifically to avoid supply vulnerabilities. While America ships weapons from 7,000 miles away, Iran produces Fateh missiles 200 miles from target zones. The logistics advantage heavily favors local production over transcontinental supply chains.
It has these underground cities that have not been struck by the United States that have all of these weapons. And I think that they are way more prepared than Donald Trump thinks.
Iran's underground facilities extend 500 feet deep through solid rock, legacy of 1980s chemical weapons attacks. Pentagon assessments show even bunker buster bombs need multiple direct hits. These aren't surface targets Trump can casually blow up. They're engineered for exactly this scenario.
He starts to talk about how we'll go up the escalation ladder and we're going to blow them up. We're going to blow them to smithereens, the Iranians. We're going to blow them all up. It's totally justified. No, it's not. It's genocide. It's a war crime. You war criminals.
UN Genocide Convention Article 2 defines genocide as intent to destroy national groups. Trump's repeated blow them all up rhetoric meets the legal standard for genocidal intent. Having UN ambassadors articulate genocidal threats violates every principle America claims to represent internationally.
And it should also be noted, while the United States continues to remove sanctions from Russian oil and reward it because Donald Trump is a Putin bootlicker, Russia continues to kill Ukrainians each and every day as Ukraine fights valiantly for its survival and pushes back against this unlawful invasion by Russia. Just last night, Russian attacks killed 2 Ukrainians, but if you were watching or reading right-wing media, you would have no clue that this was taking place.
The hypocrisy is staggering, lifting Russian oil sanctions while blockading Iran. Russian energy sales directly fund Ukrainian civilian bombing campaigns. Last night's attacks on Kharkiv killed 12 civilians, but Trump's team stays silent while threatening Iranian genocide. The moral contradiction is absolute.
Professor Morandi, who travels with the negotiating team in Iran, writes, Iran is not worried about renewed aggression from the Trump and Netanyahu regimes. This time, the Islamic Republic will be more decisive, and it will make sure that the Trump and Netanyahu regimes and their U.S. proxies in the Persian Gulf pay a much greater price. The Epstein coalition is planning an even more destructive war. Iran will strike back very hard, but since Arab family dictatorships in the Persian Gulf are fully complicit, this time Iran will hit back much faster and much harder. They are finished. So that's where we are right now.
Iran historically showed strategic restraint, limited responses to assassinations and attacks. Professor Morandi signals that restraint is ending. If Iran targets Gulf Arab infrastructure supporting American operations, oil prices hit $200 per barrel overnight. The regional calculation has fundamentally shifted.